Hello there, everyone. It's Emo Redman back at it again. I'm such a gimp. Why do I let this hair go this long, seriously? Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Misrepresenting TV. Fabrizio Romano has been disrespectful to Jurgen Klopp, and I'm going to do a video on why that is. Fabrizio Romano has two pages, so he has his page for Fabrizio Romano, and he also has a backup page, which is live. Here we go. I think that's what it is, and that's sort of for the secondary news. I can't remember which page this was posted on, but I did just see a post on one of those pages. I believe it was his main post, his main page. You can go and verify this yourselves. But he basically quoted Jurgen Klopp and his press conference previous to the Spurs game, so that took place today. And what Fabrizio likes to do, he likes to quote managers and what managers said, but he'll make a statement before the quote, essentially. So it's more so the headline. So, for instance, if somebody is joining Saudi, he will quote it as, Benzema to Saudi, and then below that he will probably put a quote of Benzema of his opinions of joining Saudi. So he's done the same with Jurgen Klopp, and he started off, and what he quoted first and foremost was Jurgen Klopp talking about the half-12 kickoffs, mentioning the fact that we've had the least amount of preparation between each game, more than any other side in Europe. Not just the Premier League, but in Europe. And I think Jurgen Klopp today in his press conference, he weren't fuming, he was just mentioning it, and he actually made a joke out of it. Now, what Fabrizio goes and does, like an absolute disingenuous journalist, and the reason why I'm going at Fabrizio for this is because he considers himself a journalist. It's because he is a journalist, and I believe that journalists have to uphold a certain level of integrity. What he did, he put that quote of Jurgen Klopp talking about the half-12 kickoffs, and before that he said, Jurgen Klopp absolutely furious about the half-12 kickoffs. So what Fabrizio Romano was doing there is feeding into an agenda of getting the fans on his page and the fans who follow him, which is a lot of people, to get in the idea that Jurgen Klopp always moans. And that's why he started that post with Jurgen Klopp absolutely furious about the half-12 kickoffs. You can go and verify this yourself. And then he put Jurgen Klopp's quote. Now, if you read the quote, it will probably come across like Jurgen Klopp was moaning. But if you're intellectually honest, you'll watch the video first and you'll see that Jurgen Klopp weren't fuming. In fact, he was making the journalist laugh. He was laughing himself. He was smiling himself. In fact, he looked free. He looked sort of like, look, there's no expectation on us to win the league. There's none of this. There's none of this. Let's just keep it positive. And I like that approach from Jurgen. That's exactly what he needs to be. He needs to breed a positive environment. But yeah, for Fabrizio Romano to come out and put a disingenuous headline previous to the quote, which is only going to get fans to flip on Jurgen Klopp, turn against Jurgen Klopp, it's really bad journalism. And the reason why it's bad journalism is because, okay, you can maybe say it's subjective to say whether somebody is angry or happy. But I think what's happened here, because, listen, Fabrizio Romano, he might be Italian, but he speaks good English, for one. And second of all, if you're going to misrepresent Jurgen Klopp or you're going to misinterpret Jurgen Klopp's mood, well, then just watch the video. He's smiling, he's laughing, he's making other people laugh, he's making jokes. But yet you're trying to spread an agenda. Now, listen, I'm not short of possibly misrepresenting the headline. There's been a good few times on this channel where I've put a headline on the channel with some news, and it turns out the news weren't actually true. Also, there's been other times where I've maybe said something which has maybe misunderstood something. So I'm not short of making these same mistakes that Fabrizio can make. The difference is I don't claim to be a journalist. As a matter of fact, I'm not. I am a dumb YouTuber who says dumb things, and I sprinkle it in there with a couple of smart things. And people watch me for probably entertainment. I highly doubt you come and watch this for just pure football knowledge, which you should do, by the way, because most knowledgeable man on the internet right here, baby boy. But Fabrizio Romano, he's done his journalism courses. He does this on a day-to-day basis. And for him, and I get it, he's got to be quick. He's got to get the posts out as soon as possible. But instead of being an honest journalist and seeing the mood that Jurgen Klopp was giving off to the room, he's then gone and lent into the Jurgen Klopp always moans thing and decided to say Jurgen Klopp was furious. Completely disingenuous for what is the biggest journalist in football. Completely disingenuous. And I hope that I get to do a show with Fabrizio one day, because I call him out on this. I think it's completely wrong to misrepresent someone's mood, especially when you know there's an agenda against them already. So what Fabrizio's doing is he's fueling fans against Klopp to misrepresent his sort of position. And that for me is so wrong as a journalist to do. It's one thing for a YouTuber, a dumb YouTuber who doesn't spend his days researching news inside and out, where the source came from and all this stuff. But he does all those things. But apparently not, because he couldn't have watched that interview and came to the conclusion Jurgen Klopp was absolutely furious. He brought up, and by the way, Jurgen Klopp would have every right, as he has done in the past, because he has been furious in the past, but he was using today's quote. In the past, when Jurgen Klopp has fumed, he's had every single right to. And the reason why he's had every single right to is because it is a completely crap thing for a bunch of people at BT Sport to sit around in a crowd and basically chuckle at the idea of giving Liverpool another 12:30 kickoff. You can call it moaning, you can call it these things, but Jurgen Klopp has had so many things up against him this season. I would say more so than any other manager. More VAR decisions have gone against Liverpool than any other team this season. And it's been the most blatant ones as well. You can talk about penalty incidents, you can talk about the incident against Spurs. Unfairly, Liverpool have been poorly treated by referees this season. And then what a dishonest person will respond to that with, well, our team's had poor refereeing as well. James, why are you crying like you're the only one? Never has Klopp said he's the only one. He's talking about what's happened to his team. And I'm talking about what's happening to our team. We've had more, and I've gave you a stat. We've had more VAR decisions against us than any other team this season. And if you were to be an intellectually honest football fan, you would sit there and say, we've been wronged more than any other team by referees this season. So what I'm trying to say to you is that everybody can lean into this agenda of Jurgen Klopp's a moaner and Jurgen Klopp is this. Now, yes, Jurgen Klopp does have a moan. That's not what I'm trying to sort of say he isn't. He does, he has a moan sometimes. But don't fuel that by misrepresenting his point. And also understand why he's moaning. What you've got to ask yourself is, does he have a right to? So if you were to bring trouble to your door and your mother was fuming with you, she probably has a right to because you brought trouble to her door. So therefore, even though she's moaning, oh, fucking hell, mum, why are you always moaning? Well, if you do your job, then you won't moan. So if the referees do their job, Jurgen Klopp's not going to moan. If the players do their job, Klopp's not going to moan. So you've got to understand the reason behind the moaning. And then you've got to ask, was he actually moaning today? The answer was no. So why is the largest journalist in football going out and reporting that Jurgen Klopp was moaning or he was furious? It's disingenuous journalism that's trying to fuel an agenda against Jurgen Klopp to get everybody to turn against them. Now, James, why should you care if people are turning against Klopp? Well, I wouldn't want to be misrepresented by the largest journalist in football. You wouldn't want to be misrepresented by the largest journalist in football. Yeah, Fabrizio Romano is misrepresenting Jurgen Klopp quite clearly. And what it showed me, in fact, it's discredited Fabrizio Romano in many ways because it shows to me that he doesn't actually watch interviews. He takes quotes and he puts an opinion in front of it and it's completely false. Because there's no way you assess Jurgen Klopp's body language, sentences, and the way he said those sentences, so the tone, and come to the conclusion that he was furious. That is a joke. It's disingenuous, and I had to make a video about it because there is this agenda against Liverpool at the moment. It happens with all teams. Arsenal have an agenda against them when it comes to bottling things. City have an agenda against them with the money that they spend. There's agendas for every team. The agenda against us this season is the fact that we've had all these refereeing decisions going against us. And instead of other teams going, in fact, you know what? Liverpool was wrong there. What they do instead, because of their hatred for Liverpool, they let the bias oversee their actual football intelligence and sit there and say, well, Liverpool are moaning. Liverpool are victims. And the reason why they'll call Liverpool victims is because they're going off the premise of what they've heard their elders say, saying, oh, historically Liverpool are victims, oh, historically Liverpool fans do this, Liverpool fans do that. Well, you weren't there supporting us when Thatcher was trying to fuck us over, mate. You're the ones who all sing council houses and make fun of poverty only when it's Scousers. But then if someone was impoverished in your city, you'd have a problem with it. Or if we had to go with someone who was impoverished in your city, you'd have a problem with it. And then you try and do the thing where you twist it all and you try and sort of, what's the word I'm looking for, gaslight, and say, well, you're only moaning because you're the only one who brings up these problems. So, let's just get it straight. Every team has an agenda against them. I'm not trying to say Liverpool is the only hard done by team. But I think in the season of 2023-2024, Liverpool have been the most disheartened team. They have been the most sort of got at team. And people don't take into consideration the circumstances. And that's why, for me, I had to make this video, because it is so clear and so obvious that the media is trying to brainwash neutrals into believing stories that don't actually exist. You are but making the audience believe of straw men. You are bringing up things, Jurgen Klopp furious. Well, that never happened. Jurgen Klopp weren't furious today. You're just trying to get more clicks by saying he was furious. And I am a YouTuber. I get the element of trying to get more clicks. I understand this. But I do not consider myself a journalist. If I came on this platform, putting out certain headlines, and say if I told you a story or an article that didn't prove to be true, which I've done plenty of times before, and I've got many things wrong, but then in the next sentence says, I am a accredited journalist. Well, oh my goodness, I would expect every single person in this comment section to go at me and say, James, you do disingenuous journalism, and you've got agendas. Fabrizio Romano deserves this same thing. And that's why I wanted to do this video, because people need to be called out. And just because he's the largest journalist in the world doesn't mean that he doesn't deserve to be called out for his poor journalism on this occasion. And it has upset me because Jurgen Klopp should not be leaving the Premier League as a hated individual. He is a very lovely guy. He has his downsides the same way every manager has his downsides. If you were to judge every single individual based on their evil part or their sort of dark side, then you would not like anybody. You would not like your own mother. We all have problems. But Jurgen Klopp is one of the most lovely managers to have ever graced this league, and the only way you can establish this is by actually knowing him. Everyone gets stressed, everyone can get angry, everyone can get upset, but you can't have a go at a man for being passionate. Jurgen Klopp is the type of guy who, if you had a problem, he would back you 100%, and you can tell by the way he defends his players. And he would also have a hyper go at the enemy. In this case, the enemy is the referee. So say if Jurgen Klopp had a son and a teacher unfairly treated his son in school, Jurgen Klopp would go in and be like, by the way, you're bang out of order. And he put the same passion into having a go at that teacher as he would put the same passion into loving us, the fans, right? Because he's a passionate dude. If he was your manager, you'd love him. If he was your manager, you'd see the context of what these journalists are all fucking lying about. And Fabrizio Romano is a lie. Well, you can't call him a liar for saying Jurgen Klopp is furious, because it could be his perception. But it's a false perception and it's a misrepresentation. And any sort of idea of body language and tone would not come to the conclusion of, oh my goodness, Jurgen Klopp was furious. So Fabrizio, sort your shit out. You're defo on Chelsea's payroll. Do you know what I mean? Like, you defo are. Nah, I'm only... Allegedly. Do better journalism, you know what I mean? Don't be lazy, don't be stupid. You're not just a YouTuber, you consider yourself a journalist, the number one in the game. Do your job and do it properly. Anyway, that'll be enough from me in this video. Sayonara.